Welcome to Football or Soccer, the podcast. Me, Sam Palmer.
And me, Tony Taafe, and the main man,
Chris Dyson. Don't know if I'm the main man.
How are we? We've dumped off Sam this week. Unfortunately, he's got a big deal going on in real estate, so he can't be here. He's about to close a deal today, so we'll let him off.
good on him.
And it's good because Chelsea have just gone second, so we don't want to really hear from Sam, do we?
Exactly, yeah. Look dangerous, don't you, Chelsea?
That's true.
Yeah, I've got to say, do you know what? I'm angry this week.
Go on.
I'm angry with football. I'm angry with everything I watched at the weekend. I'm angry with West Ham.
Yeah.
You know I'm going to hark back to, I sound like a broken record with like playing out from the back. But Chelsea Spurs yesterday.
Yeah.
What a joke of a game. Like, it looked like Spurs were going to start well. Cucurella slips twice, 2 defensive mistakes. And then you see him when he blamed his boots after.
Yeah.
But he had studs on already.
Oh, yeah.
He had studs on for studs, and he blamed the kit man, didn't he? But then Spurs at the back.
Sam's pet hate.
Pet hate of the day, playing out from the back.
When you can't do it.
It is absolutely insane. And then even if you look at Spurs' last goal, what's it called? The third goal. I think we got some coffees coming in here, Chris.
Oh, nice.
Come in, Sylvie.
I'll take that.
Now, if you look at Spurs' last goal, you've got it's the easiest goal in the world. They walk him down the line, walks it in, cuts it back, and it's just like absolutely ridiculous, like the goal they gave away. So even Chelsea's defending was awful.
Yeah.
And it's week after week after week of the same goal now. And it just doesn't seem to get any better.
So what do you think should happen?
Well, I wonder
do you
if...
like Ange, by the way? Do you think
he's
the man?
I don't...
Is he the man at Tottenham?
No. And I think he goes this week, actually.
Do you think it's his fault or do you think it's the player's fault?
I think he's very close to going this week.
No.
But is it him? Because I like Ange.
Last the season.
I think he's a great... Do we think... Well, hang on, let me ask you this. Sorry, To. So you've got Conte they've had, Mourinho, and I mean, it's not that they've had bad managers at Tottenham.
And Conte and Mourinho all got sacked on this week, pretty much.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's pretty much, they were 50-something weeks in, and they both went. Now...
So tell me, what do you think it is about Tottenham then?
I think everyone as a neutral likes the way they play, and they are dangerous, without a doubt, like going forward. Someone said Tottenham will never be where they are because the players they're signing are coming from Leicester, Bournemouth, places like this. But I just don't think, like, defensively, he's obviously not going to change. But I don't think what they're doing yesterday was ridiculous. There was one, I think it was Romero. I think he actually injured himself from it, where he does a Cruyff turn pass in the box, and they got away with it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I saw Jamie Carragher say, it's absolute stupidity to keep doing the same thing.
You've got to know when to change, haven't you?
Yeah, and he said, what was his quote? He said, I want it to be sunny outside.
His analogy was, every morning when I wake up, I want to put shorts and a T-shirt on. But if it's raining, I'm going to put a coat on.
And he's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Putting his shorts and T-shirts on every day.
Yeah.
That was the analogy. It was perfect, by the way. What a great analogy.
Yeah, and it is that. Sorry, I'm going to just grab my coffee here. Here we go, Chris.
Top man.
Here we go. We've got coffees here, Tony. I don't know.
Sorry, Tony.
I've got my coffee, mate. Don't you worry about that. I've got Starbucks special.
We're on a bit fancier here, aren't we? Look at that with a Ralph Lauren cups.
I think I might be on a different coffee bean than you boys.
Yeah. But I think it's the same with Tottenham. You just look at it, and then not only Tottenham, it's the same week in, week out. Like Russell Martin come out this week and said he's going to continue playing his way. Well, that is outrageous. If I was a Southampton fan today, I would be down at that ground, and I would demand that they remove him because that's an idiot.
Agree. I mean, you look at Liverpool against Newcastle.
Did either of you boys listen to the Simon Jordan interview with Eddie Howe?
No.
And he was talking about when he brought Bournemouth up into the Premier League, and he was talking about you can't just say to a group of players that are bought into your thinking, your mindset, basically your DNA. You can't tell a group of players that are bought into your DNA, oh, by the way, tomorrow because you're all shit, we're gonna change. You can't do it.
Well,
Say what
but
you're
that
saying,
said,
Joe.
that
Say what
same
you're
group
saying.
of
It was the
players.
first time I understood it.
Yeah, but that said, yes, you can. I disagree with that because you can if you say, listen, boys, we're in a bigger league now with better players than you lot, and we've got to do something different. Unfortunately, if you want to go back down, some of you boys will never come back up to the Premiership ever again. You're never going to get a shot.
That's not realistic, though, Sam. Is it? Like you could never actually say that. If you had a team of what? How many players are in a squad these days? 22.
25, 20,
Maybe,
yeah.
yeah. You can't say everybody buy into me and then. But as soon as I get,
But
you
if
to
they
where I
bought
want
into you
be,
to bring them
then
up,
buy
then
into
surely they
something
can bring
else.
you can bring them. They've bought into you.
I don't know.
Do you know what? Even the day before yesterday, because I heard that Eddie Howe interview yesterday. The day before yesterday, I would have completely agreed with you. But how he explained it, I was like, yeah, like this is his army. This is like his people, and he's made
Yeah, but
them
then
buy
what
into
about when a
something.
new manager comes in, like
Well,
Leicester,
that's
let's just
not his
say?
problem, is
Ruud
it?
van Nistelrooy's come in, brought in a different philosophy, right? So he's changed it up, done something. I think the best managers in the world can change their tactics for games. And we see that, let's just say Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen that. He's changed things in games where he's going to put Jason Park as a man marker on Zidane, for example. In that game, it wasn't Zidane because it wouldn't play like. But let's just use that as an analogy.
Well,
he will use that, whereas in other games, he'll play on the wing.
Ferguson used that analogy, didn't he? Because he said in that Champions League final, he should have brought Park on to mark Messi.
Yeah.
And he did, and that was his big regret, is that he didn't do it.
Well, hang on. Just look at Liverpool last week against Newcastle. Like, we're probably the best, if not the best, one of the best teams that can play out from the back because we've got the players that can do it. But Newcastle were all over us, and even in that, and we recognised. You saw Kelleher say, "Chaps, get up the field. I'm going to kick this one out."
Yeah,
we're not going
and to be fair to
And that's
Kelleher,
good game
he
management.
deserved-
I agree. I mean, the result didn't go our way, but
He's not going to keep doing it.
Exactly. They recognised that they were under the cosh, didn't they? And they were like, right, hang on, let's just take a minute here.
I felt a bit sorry for Kelleher actually letting that go because all of a
Brutal.
sudden it became, the goalkeeper's rubbish. I heard that from a few people this
No,
week,
that's
and
rubbish.
he has saved
the goalkeeper's
Liverpool
rubbish.
today.
He's been the best number 2 keeper in the world.
Yeah, I think he's
End of story.
yeah.
And I
To the
think
point of you might be looking to say, should we keep him because of Alisson getting older, injury prone,
Well, I know
etc.
we've got another guy coming in, haven't we,
I think
Tom?
there's a conversation to be had whether he should stay there even when Alisson's fit. Because from what I'm
But he
seeing,
wants first team
I believe
football. We've got
Alisson's
another guy
pretty
coming in, so haven't we? We've signed another keeper, and he
All
probably
I
wants
know
first
is it
team
begins
football.
with an M. It's the Georgian
Yeah.
keeper. He plays for Valencia. Yeah.
What's it worth in Scrabble?
Superb.
16 million points.
Yeah.
But I think this, as I say, but I wonder because I find it so boring. You look at the goals each weekend. I reckon over half now of the Premiership goals are from defensive mistakes or midfield mistakes from playing out the back where it gets nowhere, comes back, and it's the same. It's becoming really boring and repetitive. But so I wonder if someone's got the balls as a manager, whereas you got back like a Big Sam now to say, you know what, this is actually our time. We can actually do damage now from these teams because if we set up high, press them at the back, because I don't think any of these defenders. I was thinking of this yesterday for Jamie Carragher. I use an example. Jamie Carragher was a great defender, was not a world-class defender. Mm-hmm. I think in this day and age, right now, Jamie Carragher is a world-class defender.
That's a bold statement.
I don't think there is any good defenders. We'll use Virgil. I know you two are going to fucking say Virgil, right? It's all.
Well, Virgil said Carragher wouldn't get in the team.
Well,
So
Sam,
he's on record,
what
isn't he?
is it about?
but because
what
they
is it
play
about
out from the
Carragher?
back.
What is it about Carragher that would make him a world-class defender? And listen, Jamie Carragher's, the main man when I was growing up, apart from Gerrard. But what is it about Carragher that would make him a world-class defender today?
So I'm talking about defenders as actually being able to defend, head a ball, command a line, get the ball out, put in tackles. That is like actual defending, like Italian defenders, for example. Italian defenders, notoriously the best defenders in the world. And I saw Cellini talking the other day, saying that now they're teaching it out from the back, so they're losing their DNA of who they are.
Interesting.
And I saw, was it Schweinsteiger said it years ago? Said it a while ago about when Pep came to Bayern Munich. German national team lost its DNA because we tried to play like Pep. He said Pep was brilliant for Bayern Munich. He was great. He said, but the whole league's changed. Everyone started playing out from the back, like what's happened in England. And German national team did it again. And he said, we forgot that we're 6 foot plus men.
Units.
And that is our strength. Putting the balls in the box, us flying in, being big and powerful. That was our DNA. And he said, and we lost after winning the World Cup. We went away from it. And then we became trying to pass out from the back and things like that. And he said it wasn't our DNA. Now, Italy, renowned for defending, to, in actual fact, where it's almost a beautiful art. If they go to passing from the back, do they lose that beautiful art? And that's what managers are pretty much saying. That started really with Pep when you think of Barcelona with Mascherano playing centre half. So Mascherano and Yaya Toure, another one, where they were two of the best midfielders in the world, and they were playing centre half because he was kind of saying, well, we don't need you as much to tackle anymore because we're going to just keep the ball. So it's different. It's not a football I like, I've got to say. I like the difference. I like the Stokes. I like the Boltons because they gave something different, and I think they'd give more problem right now than ever. I really do.
Well,
because I see teams like Brentford,
a West
and
Ham
they're
fan saying that he loved the Stokes of the world is no surprise. 'Cause you're basically
no, but it was deemed that it's
you're
ugly
basically
football and fans don't want to
Stokes
see it. But do you want to see your team keep giving away goals every week? Spurs fans are not happy. They're booing them off every week.
Well, what if, do you think the fans, if they went to the fans, look, we're going to go through a transition. We believe in this style of play. It's going to be tough for a minute and we might not win a lot of games, but we believe that we'll have a better side and we'll have better chances. Do you buy into it for 12 months? Or
Well, I
do you
think
think in 12 months you're relegated and then it's...
Well, that's the thing. You could be relegated and then forget your 12 months. You may never come back.
That's right. Yeah.
So you could try it, but it comes down to personnel available and money available. Pep can do it at City. Arsenal could do it. They've got the best teams. So if you're trying to match Pep Guardiola on passing, okay, this year, let's forget that this year. But if you're trying to match them, and actually, teams are actually saying now, shit, we've sat off for 5 years.
Yeah.
We should have pressed.
By the way, can I just talk about Pep's? I don't think he's gone mad again this week. Did you see that?
Yeah.
You know, with the fans and stuff. He doesn't look very stoic to me, our Pep Toe. I know that's going off topic a bit, but
Are you talking about that video where someone said just because you lost or something like that?
yeah,
Yeah.
and he turns
that
around
was
and he
the- do
starts.
you know what
it's like,
that-
come on,
Being held back by the
think-
biggest bouncer in the world. Let me at
yeah, exactly. Let
him.
me at him. Don't really let me at him. Let me at him.
I
Let me at
did
him.
see though, fellas. That was after the FA Cup final when they got beat by Man United.
Oh, was
Oh,
it?
was it?
That's what I
well
believe.
played,
So
Tom.
I might
Good-
be
well
wrong,
played
but
for
I
the
did
context.
read that that's when that was taken after they got
All right,
beat
well, I
by
apologise
United
then.
in the FA Cup final. But that being said, I think Pep is.
He's on the ropes, isn't he?
He's rattled, isn't he, though?
Yeah, I don't think
looks
he's on
rattled.
the ropes. He's too good to be on the ropes, but I think he's fighting.
But maybe look, because look, they've all seen it. We've seen the fall off of Mourinho, for example. Right, was a great, like, and now is as soon as that great starts getting beat, you start to see him. They're more human, and other teams are a bit less scared of you. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And where you're great is, can you come back from the knockback? Because we've got to remember, I said this last week, Pep's never had a knockback in his life. He's played as a kid in the best teams.
Yeah.
He played in Barcelona. He's managed everywhere he's won. He's never lost. So he's got to come back from the defeat. And I saw him and Mourinho having a bit of a battle. And Mourinho's dug him out this week saying, yeah, I may have won 3, but all mine are not being under investigation.
All mine were not cheating kind of thing, wasn't it?
But I think you've got to hold your tongue with that until the verdict comes out, haven't you? Like, because otherwise it's like, you know.
Yeah, but I do think that Man City are on the ropes. They're not looking great. And he's got to come up with something now to save them. Because imagine they don't get Champions League football.
No, they'll get it. They'll get it.
But if they keep losing it,
they're not going to finish out of the top 6 or the top 5.
No, top 4.
Well, I mean, it depends, doesn't it, how England...
Because no one expected Chelsea to be in there. Really.
No. It's going to be a hell of a season, isn't it, now? I mean, and look, everyone's talking about Liverpool had won it. They're only 4 points. It's going to be a ding-dong, I think, this season. It's far from,
No,
it's
far
from
done. I mean, it's fucking...
I don't think any Liverpool
It's funny how it changes a week ago. It's done. We're wherever.
Well,
it's December the 9th. Anybody who's saying it's done is insane. But, and then you hear all the stats like nobody's ever been X amount of points ahead after X amount of games, blah, blah, blah. But the fewer games that are... the more games that are left, the less chance that any points advantage is actually going to matter.
I think the amount of games being played is going to make a massive difference because there's more Champions League games this year.
Yeah,
more chance of injury. Remember, Chelsea.
Well, there's more Champions League games for the people who don't qualify for the first.
Yeah,
is it in the top 8? I think in the Champions League.
Yeah,
and Liverpool are pretty much.
And then there's playoff.
We're there, yeah.
So I think the games have definitely come into it. Obviously, we're on the back of a Euros, so that was a lot of games as well. Like we've seen, Foden hasn't come back from the Euros. Mm-hmm. He's not existed really this season, has he?
Yeah,
he's been poor by his standards. And Bellingham, I know he scored at the weekend. He's got Bellingham's doing all right in the league at the minute, but Madrid are pushing for that league again. Their season looked over and gone. Now they're back. I think they're 3 points off or a couple points off with a game in hand. So they go top if they win it.
Yeah.
Can I?
But
I
don't know. I just think.
Can I give you boys a wild take?
Yeah.
Go.
The Chelsea manager will be managing Real Madrid next year.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it'd be Xavi Alonso.
No, I don't think so. He's not doing as good as he did last year.
I don't think it matters. I think that's who goes there, Xavi.
No, I think it's him. I think it's Maresca. I think
this guy. To be fair to this guy, Maresca, he half done a job so far.
Amazing, amazing.
And nobody at Chelsea would have wanted him. Like, there's not a fan in the world that said we're taking our manager from Leicester from the Championship, never managed in the Premier League, and we're going to take this guy. How he's managing, because you've got to remember as well, Chelsea haven't got Champions League. They got Europa. I think it's Europa Conference, isn't it? I don't think it's even Europa League. It's Conference League. And they've got 2 sides. So they get to play a different side in that Conference League. Well, because they've got so many players. So they can play a different team in that Conference League, which keeps them all fresh for the league as well. So they're going to be a threat. I look at Chelsea, though, as I do most teams now, and I think the star players have gone. I look at this team now, Chelsea. Okay, they've got Cole Palmer. Yeah. But like, if I look at the Premiership when we grew up, the teams were like laden with stars. Now, even Liverpool, I look at Liverpool's team. Yeah, you've got Salah. He's not really that kind of star player that we were used to growing up, I don't think, like a Rooney. And that's actually harsh on Salah because it's not a good analogy.
I know what you mean, though. It's we touched on this on the last one. It's more the sum of the parts is definitely greater, maybe, and especially in Liverpool with their Moneyball style and the way that they sort of fit people. There's more of a science about it, I think, which is obviously paying dividends. I think that's probably a fair comment. I think this year we're going to have a much more conventional title race toe. I don't. I think what's going to be
Which
interesting.
we're not used to for quite a while. Really.
Well, I think with City's dominance, if you drop points, it was catastrophic. And like with Liverpool dropping points last week against Newcastle, there's a tendency because you're so conditioned with what's happened in the past to go, oh fuck, that's the end of that. But you then look at like Arsenal dropping points and City dropping points again this weekend, and Chelsea didn't. And I think that's going to be more what this season is that there'll be a lot more twists and turns. I think it'll be a much more compelling race. Obviously, I hope we end up at the top of it at the end of it. But I think for the neutral, and I think it's going to be a hell of a season because I think teams will drop points. Chelsea won't go and do 18 games on the bounce.
No,
and neither will anyone.
And we're far from the finished article, mate. Liverpool are not the finished article.
Agreed.
I would say we've won a lot of games that teams that win the league win.
Newcastle's a perfect one, so isn't it?
Probably shouldn't have won, and even the draw against Newcastle, I think it was fair because I'm a Liverpool fan. But if I was a Newcastle fan, I would say Newcastle should have won that.
Well, I agree with you, and I was actually at half time. I was thinking, oh, this is the one that we give back. We've just done Real Madrid and we've done City. There must have been such a high, and then
also
3
that
days
is
later,
a big week to come off of.
That's what I mean.
Like,
the big hangover just from adrenaline and feeling. And so at half time, I was like, if we get anything out of this, that's great. And then when it looked like we might win it, I was like, oh, hello. I'll be texting the guys. If we win this after that, we might start getting excited. And then, of course,
I totally agree. There was a point when, obviously, just before the goal, where I was like, "How the fuck are we winning these games?"
Yeah,
we don't. There's been like 5 games I've seen that we didn't deserve to win, and we've somehow come away winning it. And then, obviously, they scored the equaliser, but
But then you see Arsenal at the weekend look like a 1-1 draw. Looked like they were going to get it at the end, but it was offside. He has got to be fuming with Martinelli for being offside there because he is looking down that whole line and he's got so much room down there to be offside there. That is bad. Like, you give yourself an extra yard. You could have taken 2 yards. It's bad, and that's cost them the game, because they worked to get that moment and they got it. But again, Arsenal, Fulham derailed them last year. It's West Ham, Southampton the year before. I find Arsenal, they just haven't got that killer instinct. I really don't. I actually think whoever wins this Premiership this year will be the worst team to ever win the Premiership.
Man, shut the fuck up.
You're making some bold statements today.
Taking Leicester out of that. No, I mean one of the most unmemorable teams that will ever win this thing. I don't think they will be remembered in many years to come.
Well, why?
Bold.
Just the players. Look, if you look at the players, I don't think
you can't ask 2 Liverpool fans that. We'll fight.
You put the Liverpool last winning team against this team, and you take most of the players in the last. Like, I'm not being funny, right? Everyone says Darwin Núñez is okay, things like that. He's nowhere near Sadio Mane or
Darwin,
Bobby Firmino.
I think Núñez will go in the summer.
Same as Diaz. Putting them next to him.
Yeah.
You're nowhere near.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Diaz next to Mane or Firmino. You wouldn't put him near either of them.
But that's like saying
he's close, but you wouldn't
Diaz
have him over
next to Kenny Dalglish, even though
right. And then let's just say no. I'm just saying with Chelsea as well.
Next to Kenny Dalglish, it's like it's a different world away.
Well, no, I think you could put Salah next to Kenny Dalglish.
Well, I mean, but one's a winger and one isn't. But I
will tell you this, Toe.
I disagree.
I'll tell you this, Toe. We were talking about Salah's contract last week with that Newcastle game. I was trying to be pragmatic. Talking about the club is. We've always come through. If after that Newcastle game, we go, we can't let him go. I mean, that was the way that. I mean, that was.
Who are you
he
talking
just completely
about?
changed.
Salah.
I mean, when he gets the ball at his feet on that wing, he can do anything. I mean,
if I'm Man City or United or someone or Chelsea,
they'll never let him go.
Doesn't matter. He's got no contract. It's up to him.
Well,
I would be going so hard to sign him.
He's been offered a new contract, apparently, right?
Yeah.
But whether it's at the money he thinks it's at,
I've got to tell you, I trust our owners. I really do. I trust our owners.
Or if I'm Arsenal, like really, Arsenal don't need him because of Saka. But if I'm one of those sides, Chelsea,
they won't let it happen.
or if I'm, but they can't stop it.
But that's what I mean. They will stop it. They'll find a way. They won't let it happen.
But he's got no contract. If he says, "I want to go City," I'm not, and obviously not hearing any rumours that any of them are in for him. But I'm looking at City and going,
I get what you're
put
saying.
him in there.
Any of those teams would take him all. That's again like how we can't give him a 2-year contract based on what he's doing right now.
Or 3, yeah.
Well, certainly 2.
Yeah,
and I'd give him 3. I mean, look, we talked about it. The way that he keeps himself in the shape that he does, and the professional that he is, and what he's doing on the pitch. I mean, it's difficult to not, but certainly 2. And of course, if you're any team that could afford him would have him.
Yeah.
So. But again,
I don't think we're going to have a problem. I really don't, Chris. I think in the next few weeks, I think probably before Christmas, he'll have re-signed, because these stories that are coming out in the last 48 hours saying that he's been offered a contract, those stories don't come out unless it's pretty close. But anyway, going back to what you were saying, Sam, Salah aside, and you can't say that this will be the worst team, whoever wins it, and
it will. I'm telling you now.
Surely the worst team's the one that's got the least amount of points.
No, I'm saying you put that, you look at, say Chelsea win it, right? Put that Chelsea team against the last Chelsea team that won it. Just look at them players side by side.
Team to win it,
legends. These boys will not be legends of the game. Cole Palmer will be. I'm telling you now. On that bombshell, I'm finishing it up. We're coming back after a break. We'll have a short break. See you in a minute.
Edge of your seats.
Right, welcome back to Football or Soccer. And we're just having a bit of a debate there about whoever wins the league is going to be the worst team ever. And I'm sticking with it. But I want to, talking of bad teams, I want to talk about one now.
Go on.
Manchester United.
Yeah,
I think you two are going to like this one.
Yes.
So, this week, obviously, United have lost twice. They lost to Arsenal. They've got the new manager bounce. Everyone was stuck up Ruben Amorim's arse for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And now he's lost 2 on the bounce to Arsenal and then to Forest. Now, with that on as well, the news that's come out of Manchester United yesterday is Dan Ashworth he's been sacked. They've put out this weak statement that, we're parting ways and all this, but they've let him go.
Mutual agreement, etc.
Yeah, mutual agreement and all this. So they bought in Dan Ashworth from Newcastle. I think they paid millions of pounds for him. They've then waited, I think, 4 or 5 months on gardening leave for him. He's done a rejig of the whole club there. What he's done, I don't know. And now they've let him go. I reckon, and we've said this about Chelsea's owners last year, but maybe I'm wrong when I say this, but I think Jim Ratcliffe is absolutely clueless. And I think the Glazers must be the happiest people in the world that he has taken the reins, because I think he's taken all the heat off them. And he's running that club into the ground, in my opinion, because the decisions I'm seeing him make are outrageous.
What's the worst decision you've seen him make?
I told you I was angry.
I know,
I'm angry at football. And do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I love Manchester United as an institution, as a club, because I think
Shut up, you love Manchester United.
No, I mean what they stood for. Right, so Manchester United were always.
What do they stand for?
You've definitely got to
right, okay. So Manchester United, when we grew up, were the dominant team, and I say this with Liverpool as well. They are like Real Madrid, Barcelona. They stand for something other than just winning.
Yeah,
it's the way they win. It's the way their players, their managers handle themselves. They don't get into the dogfighting down at the bottom, petty name calling, things like that. They rattle other teams. There's a way they do things. And I think when Sir Alex Ferguson went into Manchester United, and we talk about managers' egos, I think his ego was aside, and his ego was probably the biggest in football.
Yeah.
But he always harped on about, this is Manchester United. and what Sir Matt Busby done, and the Busby babes died for this club, and we will go on with their legacy. We are under no illusions. We are playing out of respect to them. And Ferguson used to always talk about the Busby babes and things like that. And I think that's been lost in. I think it's been lost in football. And I'll hark that back to Liverpool with when we grew up. You would always hear Shankly, Paisley, whatever they did at the club. It was kind of that was the Liverpool way. Hillsborough, the way they dealt with the disaster, the way they come out of it. Sir Kenny, going to the funerals, going to people. There was a way Liverpool done things and Manchester United that was above every other team. And I think that has been lost. And Manchester United, now they've come in, like, let's be honest, they sacked Ferguson this year. That is incredible.
That's a curious decision, isn't it?
Like they're saying it's $2 million a year, right? People might say that's outrageous. He shouldn't be being paid that. But let's remember, when Sir Alex was at the club, you had Nobby Stiles, you had Sir Bobby Charlton in and around the training at all time. You're hearing these old pros talking about how Sir Bobby Charlton trained on the pitch with them in the 99 Champions League final, the day of the final. So it's Sir Bobby Charlton. And they were brought up.
I saw that. That was
but
good.
So they were brought up to say, this man here, he can do what he wants.
Yeah.
We respect this man for what he's done, and you will look up to that man. And I think Manchester United, by sacking Ferguson, I think it's dreadful.
Yeah, it was a curious decision, that, for sure.
And how quickly to lose your identity of a club.
Right? Because it's Ineos, isn't it? Like, say, Jim Ratcliffe and Dave... Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford, is it?
Yeah, I think it is Brailsford, yeah.
It's Ineos, right?
It's Ineos,
the management company of it. They've made a lot of crazy decisions, from what I can see. You know, even the stupid stuff like the people who are contractors who come in on match day, they don't get a lunchbox anymore. Like, what's that going to cost you? $3-4 grand a match day?
It's how to lose. It's also, let's just be honest with you, this big review they done at the end of the season, huge review. We're going to audit the club. The review sold them, get rid of Ten Hag, right? So they then went out and tried to get other managers. And the other managers you heard that they were trying to get, like Gareth Southgate, which I think Dan Ashworth was putting that forward for, which is like...
What do you think?
What, for Gareth Southgate?
Would you rather Southgate or Amorim?
Amorim.
Yeah.
Southgate wasn't the man. If he came into there, he's not that man. Done a good job at England. Maybe would have done a good job at Man United. He's not that man. No. Not to be ahead of a club like that. Southgate at Spurs or West Ham, maybe. Not that I want him at West Ham. Please don't listen to us say we want Gareth Southgate.
We need to talk to you about West Ham. That's the other thing.
Yeah. So everything told them. Do you
know, Sam? Before you move on there from Amorim, do you know why West Ham didn't take him on? Because remember those pictures of him at London?
We flew him in
London Airport, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think Amorim was also trying his hand to force Liverpool. I think there was a bit of that. But I don't believe he gets on that plane, being the manager of Sporting Lisbon at the time, to come to West Ham if he didn't want to come to West Ham. I don't think he was coming there just to go, let's put myself in the papers here, because actually you make yourself look a bit of a plank, to be honest with you. And I don't think he was doing it. I actually think it probably came down to we didn't want to pay the compensation. And which comes to a lot of it.
Which was what, like 12 million or something?
8 mil, I think it was. Let's say 8 to 12, which is ridiculous, because we then went and spent 150 million with this Lopetegui. And so you've saved 8 million, 12 million. We'll get to West Ham in a minute. I don't even want to talk about them. I'm so angry at the moment.
The vitriol emanating.
No, so we go back to Man United. The review tells them Ten Hag's got to go, right? They then let him go and spend 200 odd million on players. A man that you know you're going to sack, that you know if it don't go right, he's 3-4 games away from the sack. How on earth is that a good running of a club?
I mean, look, I think it's a bit early to tell. Like, Jim Ratcliffe is obviously one of the most incredible businessmen that's ever lived.
100%.
And it looks like, and again, I don't know it intimately, so I'm nervous to even pass judgment, but it looks like he's coming in and trying to run it like a business, trimming the fat, like 2 million to Fergie. Do we need to pay that? Well, as I say, there's more to obviously a football club than just the numbers. And Arsenal, struggled with that for years, didn't they?
Yeah.
With Kroenke's wanting to run it like a business.
Yeah.
And the fans hated him for it because they wouldn't invest, what the fans wanted them to. So it's a fine line, and I think the optics of that decision with Fergie, I think, may come back to haunt them. You might look at 2 million as a decent marketing spend, or that you should have spent, and maybe the opportunity cost of not spending it is more damaging than what it was. I don't know. I think it's early. I think you've got to let Amorim play out and see.
I'm not saying Amorim's a bad manager at all.
No.
What you've done though is by having no plan.
Yeah.
You've brought in a manager who plays a completely different system to the players you've got available.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then maybe his ego, I'm going to continue playing free at the back with wing backs, but I haven't got any wing backs. Mm-hmm. And I look at, so is he good if he's got the best 2 wing backs in the world and could do it? Maybe, yes. I don't think Amorim's a bad manager at all. We can't assess him on this team.
How long do you think you give him?
Oh, I think Man United actually do give managers time, to be fair to them.
Of course they do, yeah.
But I think there's bigger problems at Man United. I think they've got a squad full of wasters. I really do. And I look at it, if I hear one more week go by and someone says Marcus Rashford is a player, and do you know what it is? All these pundits are sitting on the fence because he's got such a weak mentality that they're scared that he's going to go off and be in a loony bin or something, that they don't say, oh yeah, we know he's got his mental state and things like that. Actually, if you haven't got the mental capacity to be at Manchester United, get out.
Well, hang on. All right, I'll push back on that. Do you not think he's a player but he was mismanaged then?
No, who bought 5 managers?
Well, what about
but how many managers can
what would have happened to
someone
Rashford if he was
before
under
it's the
Fergie?
player's
What
fault?
would have happened?
I think Alex Ferguson would have moved him on a long time ago.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Because if he can't do it for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year,
do you not think that a little bit of the blame sits with the manager for not managing him, managing him maybe and controlling?
Which manager though? I think that does blame.
Which manager? Because he's had
Mourinho,
about 5 managers
Solskjaer, Rangnick, Van Gaal, David. Was he there? David Moyes?
Yeah,
I mean, like being allowing him
ones,
to.
yeah.
I don't.
I
say,
mean,
I
he's
don't
always
say
Ten
go off the
Hag.
rails.
We're in the 7th manager.
Yeah,
Like,
but like Marcus Rashford is a generational talent.
Is
Has
he?
Been. Well,
is he?
I don't
This
think
kid
he
can't
is.
do it.
I don't think so.
I don't agree. I
think
agree
he
as
could
well.
have been. I think he could have been.
Me too.
But
He's
that's my
shown
point, though.
himself to
Do you not think if Alex Ferguson was mentoring him and had it, would you not think he would have maybe fulfilled his potential more than he has
Was
now?
Marcus Rashford
maybe
so much better than Danny Welbeck?
But do you know who didn't fulfill their potential under Ferguson? Lee Sharp. Lee Sharp was superb. Didn't
Amazing
fulfill
player.
his potential.
Yeah, but he was.
Who?
But he wasn't right mentally for the club, so Fergie moved him on. David Beckham.
I don't know.
World class. We're going to say that because people won't say one.
World Bex was world class, 100%. Bex,
But moved him on.
Well, he moved him
Because his mentality,
Well, he didn't move
didn't
him
feel
on.
was
It was
right
time
for
for
Manchester
him to move
United
on.
at the time. And that was the difference with Man United.
No. I don't agree with that. I think Ferguson moved him on like Roy Keane when he started to undermine his authority
With a mentality because of what he was doing.
I don't know if that's his mentality. I don't think you can question David's mentality or Roy Keane's
No,
mentality.
I don't. Sorry, I'm not saying their mentality. I mean, for Fergie, I think Beck's faults were not fully on Manchester United. And not that actually affected his performances at all.
I don't think that's true. I think what I admire most about David Beckham is that he was the consummate professional as well. Yes, he had lots of other distractions, and I think that's what
He wasn't a
gets
consummate
missed.
professional, my guy. Come
Oh,
on
I don't know.
Who's saying
No,
that,
in
Tom?
the club, I
wasn't.
think he was.
No, man, he trained.
I'm not saying that he was never. I'm saying that time when Ferguson was getting rid of him. There's all the stories that came out when he was jumping down to London every chance he got, driving there and back. I mean, listen, I'm a Beckham fan. And I do think he was world class, regardless of what Sam says.
No, yeah, listen, I think he's the best ever.
But I mean, why did Ferguson get rid of him then? Why?
I think because, again,
what we're talking about, right, is the best deliverer of the ball with his right foot on the planet at the time.
maybe
Right?
ever.
I mean,
maybe ever.
I'm sure maybe ever. We can all agree on that. He was a superstar. He was. I mean, he was
I don't
basically
think he
the new
gets the
George
credit
Best.
he deserves for
Why
that, though,
did
Tom.
Ferguson let him go then?
Because he was undermining. Again, same with Roy Keane. Roy Keane did that interview with MUTV that Ferguson basically saw was undermining his position as.
I also think Ferguson took that as an excuse with Roy Keane.
Yeah, I do.
That he had
think
just
so,
come
too.
out
I
of the
don't think
injury,
it's
had a
comparable.
broken leg. He was coming to the end of his
I don't
career.
think Beckham and Keane are comparable.
I don't know.
No, but I also
don't-
think Ferguson, what he done to the rest of the team by getting rid of Roy Keane was saying there's one boss here.
That's 100%, and that's how Ferguson managed it. You couldn't cross him. If you ever got over that line where you crossed
Because
it,
the
you were
thought
done.
always was,
So what did Beckham do to get over that line?
Well, he was. Listen, he was. What you got to remember at that time, there wasn't the celebrity footballer like that. So he was in the papers every week on the front
there was,
pages.
mate. There was.
What?
George Best was.
No,
like
no, no.
that
But I mean,
30
at that
years
time,
ago.
Beckham was the first of
Yeah.
like where it was a Beckham
He was the
mania.
first of the
He was
new
with
wave,
the Spice
yeah,
Girl.
yeah.
He was, and Fergie had never dealt with that. He could always rein him in, like the Ryan Giggs say, "Listen, pack it in," but he couldn't pack him in. He wouldn't. He lived differently, but that didn't change what he did on the field. And Beckham, I think that's where he made
And that's why
the
I think he was-
mistake of thinking, well, I'm doing it on the field, I'm doing it in training. What difference does that make? But it made a difference.
I don't think David made a mistake. I think Fergie couldn't know
Didn't know how to handle it.
This new world of
Yeah.
media, and certainly David Beckham was.
And probably learned from that going on.
Well, I don't know.
Because then he had Ronaldo, then he had
Then he had Ronaldo,
Yeah.
good
Rooney.
point, yeah.
But I don't.
Because Rooney probably got away with it. Obviously, there was the things with the grannies and all that while he was at Manchester United with Rooney.
Yeah.
And he probably dealt with it
Now,
differently. He didn't get
the
rid
grannies
of Rooney,
was
did
like
he?
when he was still at Everton, I think.
I just feel like that he was so much bigger than the game, David, back in the day. Like people forget, like what was surrounding him, don't they? You know, and I don't think Fergie.
But irrelevant
Dealt with
that
that,
now, you look at Manchester United today,
Yeah,
that team, there is only probably 2 players I would take at West Ham, and we're on the verge of going down. That team is a disgrace, and it's had billions spent on it.
Who would you take? What are the 2 players?
Bruno Fernandes, I think you take. I suppose we haven't got a striker, so we would probably take Rashford, but I'm saying that's the level he's at. Maybe,
No,
but that's what I mean.
Rashford,
I'm umming and ahhing.
yeah.
Look, you're going to take Marcus Rashford over Danny Ings at West Ham. That's for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I've got a great Danny Ings story, by the way.
Go on then.
Oh well, it's a bit of a digression, but do you want me to tell it?
Yeah,
Right. Well, it's completely off topic.
that's all right.
Well, listen, it was my 40th birthday, and I am in a restaurant with a bunch of chaps and you can imagine what dinner was like. We had a few, and by the end of dinner, I was not seeing very well, and I go to the bar, and it's in May, my birthday.
Yeah.
So I completely forget the season's done in England, and I get to the bar, and I'm ordering a drink, and I look over to my left, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, fuck, this guy's a ringer for Danny Ings. And I say to him, mate, you're not going to know who this guy is, but I've got to tell you, you are an absolute ringer for this fella, Danny Ings. And he looks at me like I've got 2 heads. And he goes, mate, I'm Danny Ings. And I went, oh no. And that is a God's honest truth. And we actually became friends afterwards.
That's brilliant.
And he's a legend. He's an absolute legend. But yeah, that is my Danny Ings story.
That's brilliant.
Sorry. Anyway, back to
So
West
back to
Ham.
Man United. So you look at a team.
No, it's a good
right?
one. I like that.
It's a good one, that, isn't it?
Story. That's a good
True
one.
I
story.
say Man United, they've got a team full of wasters. Like, you look at that team and the money they've spent on that team. So you've got to look at the club in general of putting that team together. Managers, owners, recruitment. Like, you're looking at it. You've got Casemiro and Eriksen, central midfielders. Neither should be anywhere near Manchester United. Luke Shaw, another one. If people tell me Luke Shaw's a player, he's been at Man United, I think, 10 years now. I think he's had one good season. It's incredible. Ship them out. Well, get rid of them. They should not be at Manchester United. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Who's going to sign a fella who's been injured for the last 5 years?
Who cares? You can get rid of. I'll tell you who. Idiots like West Ham, like someone like that will go and sign someone like Ipswich, someone like that. They'll go and sign them. They're on big contract, but unfortunately, they have made Maguire still there. Robbed the captaincy off him. He's the sub. Then he's the starter. Then he's the sub. They have no idea what they're doing there. And I look at that club.
Don't you think Maguire gets
Don't tell him how to do
a
it,
hard
Sam.
deal?
You what, Tone?
I said, don't you think Maguire gets a rough ride? I don't think he's as bad as people make out.
No, I think. I do agree with that.
It's unfortunate for him that he was signed for such a ridiculous amount of money by some idiot who, what was it, 80 million or 75 million?
You look at their signings this year.
for him.
Anthony as well. 80 million.
Anthony
I saw the
as well.
best. The best thing ever on Instagram yesterday. It said Manchester United are willing to part ways with Anthony to do a deal with Arda Güler from Real Madrid. And I actually commented on it. I said, "I bet they're fucking willing." Like, I'm sure Real Madrid ain't.
Are they also willing to do a swap deal with Vincent as well?
Yeah. Oh. What a joke! Like but that's what I mean. But I look at this club, and I think they are making a massive, massive mistake with the way they're running the club. I think they need to reset and go back to the history of the club.
Well, you've got to be. I tell you what, you've got to be careful of, and this is what happened to Liverpool: is the new kids that are coming in, or the new players, I should say, that are coming in. When time passes, they forget about the glory days, like our 70s and 80s. When you're playing for Liverpool in the early 2000s, that's a lifetime. You didn't grow up with that. Like, you don't have that intrinsic thing in you where you've seen that, and so you don't really care. And they've watched United, and now they're watching City, and they've watched Real Madrid.
How do they fix that? Could they get old players back in?
I think a lot lies. Look, that's why, again, without going back, that's why Jurgen Klopp, I think, is so special. Because I know, like, people didn't want to come to people. You've got to live in Liverpool, remember, by the way. So we're trying to recruit talent. And again, they didn't have that.
You're up
those
against
players.
Chelsea, for example,
again,
in London.
That's why we lost tons to London.
Yeah.
Even like Fulham and West Ham, you'd rather live in London if you're a young kid going up than living, with all due respect. I mean, I love Liverpool, but it's just a fact. And so trying to attract people, when you've forgotten about that legacy, and I think that's what Man United have got to be careful. They're not there yet, by the way. People still remember what Man United were and, their legacy in that. But, that's why when Klopp came in and did what he did to attract and to build that team in that environment is otherworldly good. And again, when you have that conversation about Klopp and Pep and, could Pep have done what Klopp did at Liverpool? I don't know. I'm not saying Pep's not amazing. Obviously he is. But could he? What do you think? What do you think, Tom?
I like that analogy, Chris. I'm not sure. I think he probably
we will never
could
know. It's one of those you don't
Pep's
know.
Amazing. Yeah. But with Liverpool though, if you compare Liverpool to Manchester United, Liverpool in the mid 90s, we made quite a few bad decisions, and then
recruitment
the transformation
as well.
Yeah, we did. Well, we didn't have the right.
Yeah, recruitment, but not even that. It was across the board the bad decisions. But the first good decision we made was bringing Gerard Houllier in.
Well, hang on, I'm going to ask you about that, because I'll tell you what I think was a bad decision with that is they didn't let go of Roy.
Oh, that was awful.
They had them both managing because they didn't. They
Joint
felt
managers,
bad because they had the old boot room, didn't they? And they were. It looked like they were afraid to make difficult decisions, and they should have.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know whether Houllier would have done any better if he wasn't joint manager with Roy Evans for how long was it? It was less than a year.
It was a minute,
less than
6
season,
months or so, wasn't it? Yeah.
But here's the thing: you can't have two guys. You've got to have one guy, whether he's right or wrong.
Yeah,
you've got to have one guy that's making the decisions.
Of course,
everyone's undermined. That was rubbish.
Yeah, that
was avoidable.
That was a mistake,
and they should have made it.
Of course,
so that's a classic for me decision they should have made.
But that was where they didn't want to let go of the DNA of the club. In that sense as well.
Exactly right.
But also it actually was to their detriment. So it's the reverse of what I'm saying. So it's good point.
Yeah.
But I just think Man United, they've got to look at themselves now, they are so far off it. And we got to look at Chelsea. Chelsea, okay, they've spent £1 billion, right? But so's Man United, right? So let's not let's not have any
but Man
qualms about
United
this.
can
Man United
afford
have
it.
spent the
Chelsea
same.
can't.
So they've done it in 2 years, Chelsea. They've gone through 3 managers, Potter, Lampard and Poch. So they've gone through 3 managers and Tuchel, 4 managers in that time, the owners, and now they're on to their 5th. They've quickly got them out, said this ain't what we want, this ain't what we want, this ain't what we want. Chelsea actually, historically, are the only team that actually bucks the trend with firing managers, bringing them in and winning the leagues again. They've always managed to do it, haven't they? Which is quite weird.
Roman Abramovich was famous for it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he? He got. I
card.
know we've spoken about this before, but he toasted Ancelotti a few months after winning the double.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on, what was
Mourinho.
it? No, who was the
Hiddink.
the guy that's
Roberto Di Matteo, who won the Champions League.
Yeah, and then cleared him off. He was brutal, wasn't he?
Never managed again. Like that one, it was a bit lucky, I think, because Avram Grant also managed him in the Champions League final as well and was an absolute cack manager.
Didn't he win the FA Cup with him, Di Matteo, or something? Oh, no,
I'm not. He as a player,
Yeah, as a
scored
player,
fastest goal, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
remember
so
that goal with
I think
was it
looking at
Barron
Man,
in
if
that
I'm a Man
goal?
United fan at the moment, I am not happy with the ownership, and we know that they've had this long running feud with the Glazers, and I think it's coming from Ratcliffe now.
Well,
long
Ratcliffe,
may it
he's a big Man
continue.
United fan, obviously,
Fuck
isn't
Man
he? That's what he
United.
wanted to do.
That'll only get you so far though with fans.
Well, yeah.
Listen, luckily, Man United fans are not as bad as a West Ham, a Newcastle fan, where they will go and make themselves heard. I think West Ham, we're playing today. We've got Wolves today in El Sacchio. So it's between Gary O'Neill and Julian Lopetegui, whoever's going to get the chop tonight. And Lopetegui actually did win the last El Sacchio he was in against Ten Hag. So he is good there. Obviously, bad news coming out of West Ham this weekend was Mikel Antonio had a horrendous
dreadful,
car
by the way.
accident.
My God, I hope
the
he's
good
all right.
news is he is alive. He is stable.
God.
News coming out of the club, he's had an operation. We're hearing it is his femur. So he may never play again. How he got out of that car, and I'm so glad he's okay. Like how he got out of that, I don't know. It's insane. I think he's a very, very, very lucky boy, and so's his family. And thank God that he's okay. And I actually think, weirdly, and I don't mean this to be morbid at all, I think that is going to get West Ham over the line tonight, and it actually wins Lopetegui this game because the fans.
Do you think they'll do like a little
go
tribute to him, Sam?
Yeah, there's going to be a tribute to him.
Tribute sounds like a little bit morbid, but do you think they'll give a little nod to him? I mean,
yeah, and actually, in some ways, and it's so horrible for this because I actually think Antonio, if this is his, because this was his last season at West Ham anyway, probably wasn't going to get a new contract anyway. So he probably now will elevate him to that legendary status, which he may not have got if he was fit. Because a lot of fans have complained about Antonio over the years, and he's done it. He's been a good servant at West Ham. He's a top Premiership goal scorer. Not a beautiful player to watch by his own standards, but he was a winger, let's remember. But he's played right back for West Ham, and he's our top ever Premiership scorer. So he's done a good job. But I think that actually bounce. I think West Ham fans were going for blood today with that manager. And I think actually this accident will take it off. I think West Ham fans now, the whole game will be about Antonio. And I think that will elevate the team because we can really kill our teams by the negative. And I think it was.
Is it at West Ham, Sam?
It's at West Ham. They're wearing Antonio tribute shirts. And nice. I'm glad. Like it's very nice. And actually, it's probably a lot nicer than going there for someone's blood, which I think they really were because they went for him after Leicester. No one at West Ham wants him there. What is going on at West Ham is say it's coming out now that the dressing room is in tatters. Jean-Claude Todibo apparently threw punches at the manager at half-time at Arsenal.
Oh, I saw. I heard that too.
And he's been in the under-21
and that was the
since.
fella you signed in the summer, right?
Yeah, and apparently him, Alvarez, Rodriguez, Kudos, have all given an ultimatum to the club to say if he's in charge, we want out. So it sounds like, and apparently they've put this big spin on things at West Ham, this big PR thing. They put this thing in the West Ham website the other day that Jean-Claude is being assessed ahead of the game tonight with his injury when it's come out that he's been dropped because he's been training with the under-21s. They were better off just to not say anything. And now there's all this coming on. You can't keep a manager there. It sounds like they're so unhappy with him that I watched Leicester with you.
Yeah.
I was the happiest man in the world when every goal went in. I was cheering every single Leicester goal because I thought, that's it, we're done with it.
But you know
It
what,
was
though?
weird. I was like, hang on. What? Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's good, mate. Like, I know
This man
why.
will kill our club.
I'm
telling you
your
now, he
reasoning
is
behind
the
it.
worst manager I have ever seen at West Ham.
But I also hear West Ham. I mean, listen, me and you, one of our WhatsApp groups were on. There must be like 20 West Ham fans on there, and I heard this about David Moyes as well. Oh, I hope we get smashed today, so we get and. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I think and you know what? I also have a lot of mates, obviously, who are Everton fans. They're exactly the same.
Because I think when you support one of these clubs, you don't realise how bad it is to go and watch. Because West Ham
you may not.
Rain or shine,
you may not realize,
home and away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you may not realise how bad it is, and I don't pretend to, but I also think that whilst the fan base is that entrenched in the fucking stupidness of like, I hope we get beat, because it is stupid. But
you know, I think we know what's best for the club in some ways, though, because we had a change from David Moyes. We're going for a change. We're going for the new thing. Everyone had bought into it. We're going for a new philosophy, and we haven't. We've gone to this guy.
But it's only ever gotten worse, though. So what West Ham fans do don't help.
No, I do agree with that. I think at us, Newcastle, Spurs, in a sense, we run Everton. We run the club, and that's actually a big problem.
But look, playing Dick Advocaat for a second, like there's probably a balance between, again, they haven't got a bottomless pit like some of the other clubs,
No.
so they can't. So there's a business decision that has to be made. Like getting rid of him is expensive, and then bringing somebody in is expensive. And I'm sure the owners are like.
And all the signings they made in the summer.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So they've probably got an eye on the bottom line, and they're probably seeing how much more can we get out of this before we actually have no choice.
I think with that, they try and be safe.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. If they're going, right, we're gonna do all this, but we're gonna go for a guy who's really safe. And actually, it's not what the fans want. Yeah. Now, West Ham fans want to be entertained. We don't expect to be playing in Europe every year, or we want to be entertained. We want to go to a game, feel like we've had a go. The biggest thing with David Moyes was he was so pessimistic in games. Like we'd play City, we'd play Liverpool, and we'd set up 11 men behind the ball, just let them have the ball and hope for a draw. Whereas team like Thomas Frank actually says, or Iriola from Bournemouth says, let's actually go and have a go at them. We're going to play something good. And if we lose, unfortunate. Yeah. And I think that's actually what Spurs and West Ham want. They want to be solid enough, but yet have a go, and everyone go home if they win or lose, a bit happy. Now, you keep losing. The problem is with our clubs, that black cloud takes over, and West Ham especially, it becomes toxic within minutes and really nasty. And I think that's the problem with us as a club. But then that's where.
Do you think, Sam? Do you think that West Ham fans go too soon on the toxicity? Like, do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a little bit of PTSD where they're like, okay, here we go again.
It is exactly
another shitty manager. So
because you've got to remember, we were the most hopeful fans in the Premier League this summer. We'd got all these players. And we all looked and went, we're going to do something here. This is exciting.
Yeah, but then you had a pre-season game.
Pardon?
Then you had a pre-season game and everybody jumped on his back.
Well, no, I did.
After a pre-season game.
Me pre-season. The rest told me I was an idiot. This guy's amazing. He's going to be amazing. You don't know what you're talking about. I saw it in pre-season that this guy was fucking clueless.
to be fair, you did call it. I remember you calling it in pre-season.
Wolves, we played Wolves. We got battered
that's-
3-1 by Wolves. Then we got battered 3-0 or 4-0 by Palace as well in pre-season in America.
So
And-
what? So then, what's the solution for your?
Well, the
lot?
answer
Because
is
I
don't
can't
go
see
for
one.
the cheap option of a manager who's out of work
Who's
all the
who's
time.
the expensive option?
Well, get someone out of their contract. Go and get. I'm not saying go and get Carlo Ancelotti, but what I'm saying is, be Brighton. Have a plan. Have
Brighton go for the cheap option every single time. That's their business.
No.
plan.
But what Brighton have done, they have looked at a manager and said that is the guy that will work with this set of players. So they have. What's become abundantly obvious is West Ham didn't even have a plan for getting rid of this guy. That's why he's still there. Then they go and offer Graham Potter a 6-month contract till the end of the season. Oh, mate,
Yeah, that's
let's see
bananas.
how you go
Yeah.
and earn yourself a
Yeah.
new contract.
Yeah,
Graham Potter was just said, like,
Crazy.
what are you running here?
Yeah.
And
that's outrageous.
He deserves
it's
better.
outrageous. That's the stupidest. And that actually, for our owners, which I love, I say, but that's the stupidity that then puts the fans on their back. Because the fans then say, we got no plan B. We had no one lined up whatsoever. We've got a man who clearly isn't working. We could see it from day one. It's not working. We've been heavily beaten by Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, Forest, everyone in the Premier League, and actually got Liverpool 5-0 or whatever it was in the Cup this year. So you've been heavily beaten by this team, and you haven't gone right. We're identifying who is going to be our next man should this person come in, rather than pulling a name out of a hat of a group of managers who are all out of work and going, because apparently one of the names that is fancied at West Ham is Steve Cooper. Now, imagine you give him to the fan base. Steve Cooper is relegated Forest, about to relegate Leicester, and go, do you know what? Here's Steve Cooper for you. Let's tear the stadium down. But that's what I mean. That's the idiotic thing that I go, who on earth makes that decision?
Okay.
But we've got this Tim Steidten here.
So then
who's making decisions.
instead of concentrating on everything that they could do shit, like what could they do that would satisfy the West Ham fan base? Because I can't think of anything that they would do. Knowing, a lot of West Ham fans pretty well and seeing the messages come in every Saturday and Sunday or whenever West Ham play, I've never seen a happy West Ham fan.
No, they were. Look, they
in
do.
20
It's
years.
just, I think people don't understand West Ham fans, and we want to play something a bit entertaining.
But tell me what they could.
A team that
they
runs.
do though to satisfy you.
I think, as I say, our club, we want to have a club that is planning. That's what West Ham want. We got a training ground.
So you
that's
need
at
a new
the bottom
owner.
of
Then.
the championship level.
Do
Our
you need a
training
new owner
ground
then?
is porter cabins. Leicester.
I know that's what I'm saying.
I've got
So
a
do
better
you
training
need a
ground.
new owner? Because it starts at the top. We all
I'm
know
really,
that.
really surprised West Ham has never been bought with the Olympic Stadium. We're in London. I'm very surprised. And I think that was really the plan of going to the Olympic Stadium, that look, someone would come in and buy us. Just because you get new owners means you think. But I think this set of ownership, over the last few years, has really got it right with West Ham. They brought back all the old players. What West Ham wanted, they wanted that community feel. I think we're okay not being a top club if we can see a bit of fight. West Ham fans love players that run.
Yeah.
They love managers that, like David Moyes got it wrong by saying, well, I won you a cup. I won you a cup. Won you a cup. Rather than actually saying,
like
this
you
is
should
West
be
Ham.
grateful.
We need to be different to this. That's all West Ham want. West Ham fans want a manager to come out and do the Hammers sign. They actually, the players to do that, to kid them on a little bit. And actually run, give effort, kiss the badge. Actually, West Ham fans actually all go, what a team with this. And that's actually what Moyes had at the beginning.
They want a team of Julian Dixes and Neil Ruddocks and et cetera, et cetera.
With a bit of personality, a bit of youth in the...
Mentality-wise, I mean.
I'm not saying... Yeah, exactly. Getting in a manager, and I think actually they're going to probably go for someone like Michael Carrick, because they're going to bring back the DNA of West Ham.
I don't think that's a bad move, I don't think that's a bad move. That would be a bad move. I like.
I
Michael
do
Carrick
when I
as a
look at it.
manager.
We've been in Europe for the last 3 years, and would Spurs, Newcastle, Villa, any of them, they've got a bit more ambition than that. Carrick isn't lighting the world up at Middlesbrough, and I think that's kind of the typical West Ham signing that then, he played for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, what we kind of got to go away from. Not that I don't think it would be a good move. Over other people, I think, because West Ham fans love a manager that's affiliated with the club, but unfortunately, there's none out there. Let's be honest with you. Over the few years ago, we could have had Xavi Alonso as well. We didn't go for him. We could have had Ruben Amorim. There's lots of, you look at players that we didn't go for. Julian Alvarez, Darwin Núñez, that we had them signed. Cole Palmer.
No.
We had Cole Palmer before Chelsea. We wouldn't give the extra 3 million or 5 million for him. And
Really?
he was at 20 million, not a 40 or whatever he went for. We could have had him. We didn't have him. Didn't take the risk. Oh, no. What we were trying to do? No, we want a loan to buy. Because we always do it. Which I can understand. We haven't got the money. I get it, right? And
no,
ones
it's
that
ridiculous.
don't come off. Always loan to buy.
West Ham
It's
are not
cautious
ever
thinking.
in. West Ham are not ever in danger of falling foul of the financial fair play rule.
We are at the
they?
minute.
Are you really?
We're riding close. So
Okay.
what will happen this year is Kudos will be sold to pay for all that's gone on. So
Well, okay, I didn't know that.
I'm angry enough.
I
We've
mean-
got to wrap it up here. I'm angry enough. You've got me fucking
Before
boiling. We're now going on to
before we
West Ham.
wrap it up, and this is not just to, just directed at West Ham fans. I think Liverpool fans, Man United fans, fans of any team. Whenever you change your manager, you have to take 2 steps back to take 4 steps forward. You
Of course,
have
unless you're Arne
It's
Slot.
always the way. Unless
you're
you're Arne
Chelsea.
Slot, of course.
Yeah, Arnie Slot and Maresca.
You set them up, I'll knock them down.
Arnie Slot,
Unless you're
Maresca,
Liverpool,
and
and then we
Hertzler
just
at
do it
Brighton.
good every
Yeah.
time.
And Forest. You're
actually,
fucking useless.
You're full of shit. There you go.
Yeah,
It's rubbish.
absolutely shit. If you get the right man, you go forward.
Yeah.
Because you only
Good
sacked
point,
your manager
good
because you were
point.
going backwards. So anyway, we're wrapping up there. I'm probably going to have to take an Pepsid or something to
Yeah.
cool
Go
me down
have a
there.
Nice
Xanax.
bath, mate.
Go have a Xanax. Get your head down.
Right, everyone, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We're actually going to try and add in a bit of a midweek as well this week. So we're going to try and give you more and more episodes. I'm Sam Palmer. This is Football or Soccer.
Angry.
Tony Taafe. Thanks, folks.
Done.
Over and out.